tell us a little bit, playing that kid and having that relationship with the Steelers, help the process, with being here now and that.
Yeah, I just think being able to watch them practice, during the spring and sometimes in the summer, early summer, I think as a young kid coming into college, it just kind of showed me how to be a professional, showed me how to practice the right way. It's something that I always tell the young guys coming in to take advantage of and really see how it is to be a pro and how to attack every day of practice.
Speaking of being a pro, you got guys like Dane Jackson and John Cameron that play with the Bills. Have they spoken with you in the reference process? I have.
I've spoken to a lot of my former teammates. There's a lot that goes into this whole thing. I think the big tip has just really been to enjoy it and take it a day at a time with this whole process.
Any respect to you talk like place a Hall of Fame quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger if they were to take.
Right. Obviously Ben's a Hall of Famer, like you said, and I've had multiple talks with them, and it would be unbelievable, like I said before, to play in the city that I played college football in. I think it'd really be really special. You're going into the NFL, of course, pressure's obviously, it's a natural thing, but, whatever team I go to, I'll just, be myself and be the best player I can be. Busy, busy. There's a new thing every day, but, I enjoy the process of training and putting the work in and really just getting better at my craft, so I've had a lot of fun doing that. Just continue to be consistent. I feel like I was that way at the Senior Bowl. Want to come into the Combine and be the same.
Do you think he should be the number one quarterback taken in this draft, and why? And what happened those last couple of years at Pitt where he
Right, I do, and I think knowing how to win is key, and that's the number one thing at this position. What caused that rise? You're saying? I think just all the hard work over the years kind of culminated in that last season. It wasn't just an overnight thing. I didn't just wake up and all that fell into my lap. So it was years and years of hard work with my teammates, my coaches, and we really went out there and had the season we all expected to have.
Do you have a relationship with Peyton Manning? Like I heard one on the broadcast. What is that relationship like?
Yeah, the decision to come back to Pitt, after the 2020 year. Peyton gave me a lot of insight that helped me make that decision, and the best decision for me was to go back to school, and obviously in a much better situation now this year than I was last year if I was decided to come out. So really grateful for all the advice that he gave me. Do well immediately? Coming from a pro system, I feel like I'll be able to adapt well into whatever system. Hopefully, a West Coast system is what I came from with Coach Whipple. So I think being able to come in and learn an offense quickly and be able to adjust that way, I think that's number one. No, it is what it is. I think the media runs with it a little more than I'd say NFL teams do. There really wasn't much talk about that in all the formal interviews and the informal interviews that I've had so far this week. So it is what it is. Yeah, he's a really consistent player, and like you said, I think we never verbally talk about competing and everything, but every single day, he's like my training partner. It feels like I've been like at college almost with him. How much time we spent together and on the practice field throwing, in the weight room, doing all the testing drills together. So it's been awesome to work with Dustin. Just kind of another relationship in this process that'll last a lifetime. I feel like we'll keep in touch throughout our careers.
Kenny, you really exploded statistically this year in a lot of different categories. What do you attribute that to? And teams talk to you all about one year being that big benchmark year as opposed to maybe throughout the course of your career. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, just kind of like I mentioned before, it was all the hard work kind of growing into that last season, having my third season with Coach Whipple, mastering the offense, taking more ownership of our team, of our offense, being more of a vocal leader in terms of throwing sessions and film sessions and teaching our offense to our guys, and they're hearing it from my voice instead of a coach. So we're all on the same page when we went out there every Saturday. So I think a lot went into it. Definitely was not just a me thing. Great teammates, great coaches. Love the guys that I played with. So I think all that came together for a special season for us.
And I know you don't think you should, obviously, if you look at teams where you think is that part of the process for you too?
I think you can get caught up in that. I think there's obviously 32 places I could go. I'm not sure where I'll go. Right now, I'm just focused on improving and getting ready for whatever NFL team that I could potentially go to. Once I find that out in April, then it'll be obviously a lot easier to know the system and learn that way.
Kenny, Coach Matt Rule was not at the Senior Bowl. What's it been like reconnecting with him here at the Combine?
Yeah, it was cool seeing him. I haven't seen him in a long time. Obviously smiles when we first saw each other walk into the room. So, kind of picked up right where we left off, I'd say, back in 2016 when he was at Temple and I was originally committed there. So, great guy. It was awesome to reconnect.
How are your conversations at the Senior Bowl different now here in the comments?
I'd say Senior Bowl is more getting to know you as a person, a little bit on the player side and the X's and O's. A lot more X's and O's and film work here with the interviews, and I'm sure just continue down the road to get increase with player IQ and stuff like that with the visits.
Peyton still lives in Denver. He's still associated with the Broncos in many ways. Have you thought about playing for the Broncos? And have you talked with Coach Hackett?
Yep, had an interview with them that went really well. Really haven't spoke to Peyton about it. I think it'd be a great fit, and would be really excited to play there as well.
Kenny, what excites you about the NFL game?
The NFL game, it's been a dream of mine since I can remember. Going back to when I first picked up a football, my first memories of football, watching Sundays with my family, having friends come over when you're young, and all those things. It's just a dream of mine, and to kind of be sitting here, it's surreal, but it's everything that I expected to do, and I'm right where I said I'd be.
What do you want to show this week as far as your ability at precision?
Yeah, just an accurate passer, throws on time. We'll be throwing with different receivers, but I'll try to throw on time the best of my ability in those timing routes, accuracy, show off arm strength. So I think there's multiple things, and I'll be testing, running the 40, doing the 5.10, jumping as well. So show my mobility too. Yeah, we didn't get in depth about their quarterback situation. Really, it was just me and going back to Pitt, my offense, being able to detail that, and just kind of learn. They're learning how I learn, I'd say. So hypothetically, if I was to go there, they'd have an idea of how to coach me when I first walk in that building.
When you're talking about showing off mobility, do you care more about 40 time or shuttle time, or just the way you throw the ball?
I'd say both. Pocket footwork, and obviously showing a little bit of speed and mobility in the drills that I'll be going through. I won't be breaking any records. I can get out and say that. So I don't know. We'll see where I end up.
With these questions about your hands, are you curious to see what it measures, and how do you exactly try to like?
Really just the exercises that I was doing. The reason why I didn't measure at the Senior Bowl was just to have those extra couple of weeks, just kind of a common sense thing. It'll help you to have more time working the exercises. So whatever it measures, and I'm sure that won't be the end of it, but I'll be the last measurement I'm sure I'll take of it.
How important the combine to perform well in the NFL?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
How important the combine to perform well in the
Yeah, I think it's, they're all just as important. I'd say this is more of a smaller sample size than, obviously your season's the number one, and what you put on tape is pretty much your resume. The interview process is huge, and then this is more of a smaller piece with Pro Day, but it's kind of, I'd say, the last, box you have to check in this whole process. I don't know what they're called. I'm not the doctor that does it, but just kind of, working, I guess, the stretch. I can't really explain it.
The measurements tomorrow.
Yes.
And on that topic, you had the Thursday night game in the rain against Sandal, the Tar Heels. You kind of tell people to look at that tape in terms of how you held up okay.
Yeah, like I said, the big body of work is your tape throughout your career. So there's multiple games that people can go watch, and that's your resume. The tape's your resume, and all this other stuff is just the boxes that you have to check. I feel like before the draft. So yeah.
Specifically, that game was pretty horrible conditions.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun one, especially in overtime. Obviously, it got a lot worse. So yeah, that's a great example.
You played a lot for 4 years, and are you now kind of seeing the challenge of the NFL? You're the face of the franchise as a quarterback. How do you embrace that as you get closer to this the actual draft? When you get drafted in the first round, there's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and I've talking to guys that have played in the league and have been in that situation. It's really just coming down to being yourself. And throughout my career, I think that's I've always just resorted back to being myself. Having my family close, my friends close, and put my best foot forward. So I feel like I just attack it the same.
Try not to get hung up on what spot you're picked, like top 10 or
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, you can't control it. It's a little different than the whole college process where you're recruiting, you go on visits, and then you choose. So this is a completely different process where, you kind of sit and wait, and you got to see where you end up going. And, I can promise, doesn't matter where I go, I'll be extremely excited. Like I said before, a dream of mine to play in the NFL, so hopefully that'll come true here soon.
You play a lot of ball, man. You play a lot of ball in your time. A lot of guys in the league have had to sit and wait a year. You thought about the mentality of you have to go in, you have to sit behind a guy and wait. Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to go in and compete, and then, however it shakes out, it shakes out. And, I'll do my best to learn, whether that's on the field, off the field, learning from whoever's in there. Throughout my college career, I had, as a freshman, I had to do that, and then got thrown in the fire there early, as a young kid, and had to go play. So, I mean, I know what it is like to do both and how to approach both mentalities.
During this draft process, have you stayed in contact with Coach Whip, and if so, what does he get on the team?
Yeah. I talk to Coach Whip, once every couple of weeks, I'd say, keeping in touch with how he's doing in Nebraska. And obviously he's, keeping in touch with how I'm doing through this process. But a guy who did it on the other end, I'd say, as the coach and, going through the prospects that he went through and how he detailed it out, obviously he's been a huge help to me, knowing that he's been there, done that, and, has some answers for every question I have.
At what point here, what do you do until Pittsburgh?
Train, man. This lifestyle it's for me. It's something that I've grown up always doing. So, training 6 days a week. It's just another week for me, coming with how I always was, brought up, training through high school, training through college. So I'm really having fun doing it. And I'll train for 2 weeks, then head back to Pitt a week early, throw with our receivers, get our pro script ready to go for the 21st.
How has Matt changed since their Temple days? And what's the challenge? How's the challenge different from trying, if you go to Temple, to turn around a program like that versus trying to turn around a program like you've got to go around right now?
Yeah, from the brief interview I had with him, I can tell you, I mean, he hasn't really changed a bit. He was the same guy that recruited me to Temple. So I think, everyone believes that he's the guy to be the head coach there and turn things around. And, I have all the trust in the world in him.
At what point did you feel like you could have that NFL career? Was there a moment or a year where you said, I think that's actually a reality?
I mean, I'll be honest, it's been my dream from day one, but I always said I was going to go do it. I always had the confidence that, I would be here at this stage, one way or another. Everyone's road is different. My road wasn't 3 years. I had to do the 5 years, not 6 years. For a lot of people thought I'd been in college for 6, only been in school for 5. So everyone's journey is different. I just knew I would end up in this seat right here. So I had to believe from day one.
What's the biggest thing schematically that you could take from Pitt that you think is going to help you now?
Yeah, just Coach Whipple's West Coast system. And, now having a chance to go through some of these interviews, teams will install plays, right, erase it. They'll ask you questions, and they'll go back and tell you to draw it. I feel like I've had a pretty good recall with what they throw on the board because of what I've done in college. So I've really enjoyed kind of learning some new systems, some new concepts, but having the recall of Coach Whipple's offense has really helped me.
Did you interview with the Falcons, and how did that interview have to go with trying to get to know about you?
I did, yeah. Another great interview. Really just putting the film up there and me detailing the offense and just learning my IQ. Good questions about how I like to learn. So, like I said, hypothetically, if I was supposed to go there, they would know how to, install plays and teach me early on to kind of help streamline the process. So it's been a cool, interview process. Like I said, learning new systems and going back and watching some film.
Kenny, was the interview different with the Steelers considering they've watched you and they've seen you for the last 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, all the coaches say they've watched, obviously a lot of tape on me and got to see me in person multiple times. So I think they just have kind of more of a hands-on visual look at me versus the film look. So I think, a lot more teams will be watching, at Combine and Pro Day. They will too, but they got to see me live.
Have you built any relationship with Mike Tomlin over the last couple of years?
I have. I mean, there's those benches when we call off the practice field, and he would always come over and hang out with us for a little bit in the summer. And I remember as a freshman, the first time that happened, watching Antonio Brown and Ben out there, and he would come, sit down and hang out, and I wouldn't leave the bench until he left, obviously. So, been there for 5 years, so a long time. I've known Coach, and it's been a pretty special relationship.
You saw the lines down in Mobile. It's like you didn't know that on the staff.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Was on the Jet staff, so I didn't get a chance to spend too much time with them, but they did it on, I think it was a Thursday. We flipped staffs for an hour, had an hour interview slash meeting with their staff, watching the practice film from the week. We'd go through it and kind of teach them the offense, and they would see how much we really understood it, so it was a cool experience.
Kenny, there were some reports earlier this offseason that some talent evaluators didn't believe there was starter level talent in this quarterback class. Does that mean anything to you? Have you tried to change people's minds at all during this process as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, everyone's going to have their own opinion. I mean, I think there's great players in this class. You know, it is what it is. It's their opinion. I mean, who knows? We'll see down the road, you know, how it all shakes out. Yeah, I didn't make the Eagles while I was down here, but, you know, I wish I had a crack at that mini hoop. I heard Sam went 2 for 5. I got to tell him I think I could do a little better than that, 2 for 5, but we'll see.
Any other teams that had any like interesting interview setups you walked in? Questions or anything like that?
I wouldn't say any interesting setups. The weirdest question I think I had was it was like a survey question: would I rather be a cat or a dog? That was probably the strangest one. Besides that, I think it was pretty normal.
2 more questions for Kenny.
Dog. I mean, I'm a dog guy, so I just kind of went with that.
Kenny, what's your plan for the draft pick?
I don't know yet. That's a good question. I mean, it's been a long road. I've had a lot of supporters back home. I want to make sure my grandparents can be there and all my family members. So I'm still trying to figure out where I'll be for that.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you, guys.